Good afternoon, everybody. So, before we start the new topic, so make sure you have the good understanding all the classes you can put into practice. So right now we are studying about Lamrim. The Lamrim you can divide into three parts. The Lamrim of small scope being, the Lamrim for middle scope being, the Lamrim for the great scope beings. This means someone just wish to be happy this life and next life. They were looking only the samsaric happiness. Second, there's another group of practitioners who are not only seeking happiness in this life and next life, only samsaric happiness, also seeking the happiness which is totally free from samsara. Then there's another practitioner who is not only seeking happiness this life and next life, as well as samsaric happiness, also they are seeking the happiness which is free from samsara. Not only that, they are seeking, happiness which is lasting happiness, which you can call Buddhahood. So, the Lamrim practice at the beginning is very much emphasized what is the uniqueness, what is the quality of uniqueness of the Lamrim. Then you must remember the four qualities. After that, then they very much explained about how to rely on Guru, how it is so important to rely on Guru. Then explain all the qualities of the teacher. Then they explain how you practice the actual Lamrim. So first is Lamrim explain the small scope being, mainly should have a sense of renounce about the lower realms, wish to born in the higher realms. In order to achieve the higher realms, then the practitioner must practice the 10 virtuous actions as well as take refuge. So everybody have been doing the 10 virtuous action, as well as everybody take into refuge to Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, as well as Guru. Then when we talk about how we should take refuge into Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, then we must identify what does mean Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Not only that, and also we must know the qualities of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Then you can take refuge into Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, the depths of your heart. Then you become a good person because you always adopt the 10 virtuous actions, as well as you fully take refuge into Buddha as a teacher, as a guide, Dharma as a main practice, main refuge, the Sangha as a friends of practice. Then within the Dharma, there are two types. One, all the practices, all the paths we can include into Dharma. The second is the cessation, which is cease the afflictive emotions as well as the imprint, which is led by ignorance and so and so. Then it is not just enough. All this practice is not just enough to achieve, the lasting happiness. Next, we need to wish to achieve liberation. Then, how we can achieve liberation? What does mean liberation? So, in order to achieve liberation, first we need to know what does mean samsara. What are the causes and condition of the samsara, right? Then you think very seriously, if you study seriously like Lamrim, then you will realize what does mean liberation, also what does mean samsara, what are the causes and condition of the samsara. Mainly ignorance, then therefore there are afflictive emotions, therefore there is a karmas. Karma can be positive or negative karma. Then the afflictive emotions and karma, ignorance, attachment, clinging are the main causes and condition of samsara. Then how we can stop the causes and condition of samsara? Then in order to cease samsara, you must cease the karmas, the negative karmas. In order to cease the negative karma, you must cease the afflictive emotions, mainly attachment and clinging. In order to cease the afflictive emotion, you must cease ignorance. You can cease, you are able to stop the ignorance to arise once you realize dependent arising. So there's two sets of cause and effect. The samsara is the effect, ignorance, afflictive emotions, karmas are the cause. Then how I can be liberated? How I can achieve liberation? So once you realize selflessness, emptiness, then the emptiness you have to practice, you have to familiar with the emptiness for many years with the renunciation. If you don't have a sense of renunciation, then all the dharma practices can be cause to arise the samsaric thing. Therefore, we need to generate renunciation. The renunciation must practice with the emptiness, as well as emptiness must practice with the renunciation. Then these two you practice for many years, then slowly you reduce the afflictive emotions. Then finally you can get rid of the root of the samsara, which is ignorance. Then we consider we achieve liberation. So when you achieve liberation, then even though achieving liberation is not, it doesn't mean you really complete your own achievement. No, because you haven't achieved the omniscience, you haven't achieved the rupakayas and dharmakaya. So in order to achieve your own achievement completely, then you need to practice bodhicitta, top of the renunciation, emptiness, and bodhicitta. So when you wish to practice bodhicitta, then there's two ways. One, you must apply the 7 cause and effect to generate bodhicitta. Also, you can apply the exchanging of self and others. Then slowly you will able to generate bodhicitta. Then after you fully generated the bodhicitta, then you need to practice the six perfections. Six perfections. So within the six, the last is the the wisdom. Yeah, the sixth was the wisdom. The wisdom has two types. One just simple, ordinary wisdom, which is realize impermanence, which is realize dwellings in dependence, which is realize selflessness. Also, realize the grossness and blissness of lower realms and higher realms, desire and form realms. After you achieve the fifth, the meditative concentration, then you need to change the object of meditative concentration. Most time we focus or we observe on the grossness and blissness of desire and form realms. The next we need to change the object of meditative concentration, which is the emptiness. Therefore, so right now we are studying about the wisdom chapter, mainly about emptiness. So there's these few pages are very important. So we study very slowly. Make sure you have the right understanding. So in order to realize emptiness, you need to rely on the master who has the experience of emptiness. Not only that, then you need to study the teaching which is explain emptiness, the definite teaching. Then how we know, this teaching is the definite teaching. This teaching is definite and provisional teaching. That means the teaching mainly introduce emptiness, not much about the conventional truth. Then we can consider the teaching is the definite teaching. So definite teaching and definite meaning is different. Okay, the definite meaning is emptiness. The definite teaching, the teaching which explained, introduced emptiness, and the teaching we can call the definite teaching. Make sure you should not have a confusion between the definite meaning and the definite teaching. So the mainly, then here question, so which teaching is most easy for us? Then first we explain, the Nagarjuna teaching, the fundamental wisdom of teaching is the root teaching. Then there's so many commentary on. The mainly may follow the Buddha Palita and Dharmakirti, right? Dharmakirti. No. Tawa Takpa, Chandrakirti. Then you must remember the history of, the Madhyamaka school. The Nagarjuna is the founder of Madhyamaka school. He has many disciples. The most, important one, Aryadeva. After Aryadeva, then Buddha Palita. After Buddha Palita, then Chandrakirti. So right now we mainly try to follow Nagarjuna, Chandrakirti, as well as Buddha Palita. Because many Indian master, follow Chandrakirti, include Atisha. Okay, so we go through the Lamrim textbook. Lamrim. Okay, page number 119. The stage of entry into reality. So, as a revision, we already, study this one. Again, make sure you have the right understanding. Is kind of the summary of the chapter. Then look at it has two parts. The stage of entry into reality, the actual determination of reality. So how we can enter into reality? Then there's two questions. Two questions. Question number 1 about nirvana. Question number 2, how we can enter into emptiness. There's a two question. Look at nirvana is the reality one seeks to attain. But what is the nirvana? Right? That means, so nirvana has two levels. One is just the nirvana, which is eliminate the afflictive emotions. There's another nirvana, which is not only eliminated the afflictive emotion, as well as eliminated the obscuration. So here's a question, what is the nirvana? Then, question number 1. Question number 2, if enter into reality means the methods for attaining it, then how do you enter? So what is the nirvana? How we really enter into nirvana? The two questions. The reply, the reality that you seek to attain embodiment of the truth, right? We are not just seeking the simple nirvana. We are seeking mainly the embodiment of the truth. Embodiment of the truth. That means we have four kayas. Within the four body, rupa kaya and nirvana kaya, the nirvana kaya. So we are mainly talking about here the nirvana kaya, embodiment of the truth. Is that totally extinction of conceptions, right? When you achieve the embodiment of the truth is totally extinction of conceptions, no more conception. That means there are two types of conception. What are they? Self and which belong to self. So there's a two conception. That is the main, the root. That means, for example, when you have the conception, when you have ignorance, the ignorant can be ignorant about your own I. Another ignorance, not just the I, also the belongings, your body, your food, everything, there's two types of conception. So when you achieve embodiment of the truth, is the total extinction of conception of both self and belong to the self. Specifically, by stopping not only that, all the various internal and external phenomena from appearing as though there were reality is self, which they are not. right? For us, that means it is mentioned one in the conception, the delusion, the two types of delusion. One is a delusion about I, one is a delusion about the mind, right? Mind. When you say mind, the belonging. Not only that, then there's some kind of misperception. So whatever appeared to us, everything appeared to us as a reality itself. Reality itself. When you look at any object, for us, the object appears to us, the object exists itself, right? Itself. Which is they are not. That means the delusion, due to delusion, we have a misperception. Not only that, along with the latent predisposition for false appearance. Right? Now he's talking about nirvana. Nirvana is total extinction of the conceptions. Not only that, it's total extension of the latent predisposition of such as self, false appearance. Right? So, why we have the wrong appearance, why we have a wrong perception? Because we have a delusion, we have a ignorance. We have two types of ignorance, right? Two types. One is us ignorant about I, second is ignorance about mind. Due to this ignorance, then for us everything appears us as a exists itself. Not only that, also we have the latent disposition for such as false appearance. So that latent predisposition means we have a lot of tendency in our mind. The tendency we have is come from the beginning last time. So now you know what does nirvana, how we can achieve nirvana. Right? Have you got the right understanding of nirvana? Yeah, that's nirvana is the embodiment of the truth. Extension of conceptions. There are two types of conceptions. Not only that, also, totally stop all the various internal and external phenomena from appearing that there were reality itself. Also, it's totally no more delusion, no more wrong perception, no more the latent disposition. This means nirvana. The steps by which you enter the reality are as follows. First, you must having the contemplated in dismay the faults and the disadvantage of the second existence. That means at the beginning you need to do the contemplation. You need to contemplate, the disadvantage of the samsara, second existence, as well as the faults of the cyclic existence. That means when you think about, the faults, the problem of sickness, as well as think about, the consequence of free from sickness. You need to contemplate the disadvantage of the samsara as well as the faults of the samsara. When you have good contemplation about the samsara, then you should develop a wish to be done with it. Then understanding that you will not overcome it unless you overcome its cause. Right? So finally, if you contemplate for a long time about the samsara, the disadvantage and the faults, then you wish to, abandon the samsara, you wish to overcome from the samsara, you wish to free from samsara. Then how? Then you understand that you will not overcome it unless you overcome its cause. Right? Then slowly you can meditate on the cause and effect of the samsara. You research its root, considering what may be the root cause of the cyclic existence. Right? You need to do the research, you need to do the study. What is the root cause of the cyclic existence? Mainly the karmas, afflict emotions, then ignorance. Then you will thereby become certain from the depths of your heart that the refining view of the preaching aggregates or ignorance act as the root of the cyclic existence. You then need to develop the sensor wish to eliminate that. Right? Once you understand, yes, unless if I able to overcome the root of the samsara, then I will able to overcome the samsara. So what is the root of samsara? That means they are the generally karma, emotion, the ignorance. Within the ignorance, there are two types of ignorance. What are they? Here, the pressing aggregates or ignorance. That means there's one ignorance about I. Second is ignorance about mind, like my body, my eyes, my consciousness. There's a two types of ignorance. Those ignorance act as the root of cyclic existence. You then need to develop the sensor wish to eliminate the ignorance and the fresh aggregates. The refining view of the fresh aggregates. Clear? Until here got clear, right? So it's kind of revision.
The perishing aggregates.
Yeah, I know. Is simply you can say the ignorance about your 5 aggregates. Because in Tibetan language we can say jigsaw la tawa. Jigsaw la tawa. Tawa means view. Right? He says exactly here, view. Jig means pressing, jigsaw. Then aggregates. Saw means aggregates. That means simply ignorance about 5 aggregates. The 5 aggregates is the pressing aggregates. So I know it's been, when you read the English text in Lamrim English text, sometimes it really doesn't make sense because you don't know the Tibetan word. You still look at, refining view of the pressing aggregates. Simply, okay, how many types of ignorance we have? 2 types. What are they? Ignorant about I, ignorant about mind. Mind means my body, my sensation, my thing, mind. Right? Mainly ignorant about aggregates. It's linked later, next it link with the aggregates. So what is the basis of the I? 5 aggregates. Right? 5 aggregates are the basis. Then based on 5 aggregates, we name as a person, as a sentient beings. Next, see that overcoming the refining view of the pressing aggregates depend upon the developing the wisdom that know that the self as the concept does not exist. Right? That means, so in order to overcoming the refining view of the pressing aggregates is depend on what? Depend upon the developing the wisdom. You need a wisdom. What kind of wisdom? The wisdom knows that the self as thus, concept do not exist. That means when you have the wisdom to know, yes, the I just appear to us, I'm not saying I is not exist, the I is concept but no exist. You will then see that you have to refute that self. Okay? That self. Be certain in the refutation, relying upon this letter. You need to, refute the self. That self. Now here, very important, when you think, when you feel, when you think, I want to go, right? I want to go. When you think I want to go, there's a mind. The mind thinking what? The mind thinking I want to go, right? The mind thinking I want to go. Then also when you say the mind focus on where? Focus on I, right? I. For example, when you say, I am not happy. When you say, I am not happy, that means there's a feeling. The feeling is unhappy feeling, right? Then there's a thoughts. The thoughts thinking, I am not happy. Then there's a feeling. The feeling is, unhappy feeling. Then there's a thought. The thought, no, I am not happy. As well as there's a I. Three things happen together. I am not happy. Now you need to distinguish, make distinguishes which is I, which is thought, which one is feeling, right? I am not happy. You just, just short moment, everybody just try to understand, I am not happy. The man which is thinking not happy, it is mine, not I. Right? Understand? There's a feeling, the feel not happy. Then that moment, where's the I? That moment, where's the I? Definitely, the I is there. Definitely, the thoughts, the mind is there. Definitely, the feeling is there. So we need to distinguish the unhappy feeling, the thoughts which is thinking I'm not happy. At the same time, there's a I who feel the unpleasant, who feel the unhappy feeling. Okay, just think about, that moment, where's the I, how the eyes look like. Right? So, if we able to distinguish the thoughts which is thinking about not happy, the feeling which is not the pleasant, which is the unpleasant feeling, as well as there's eyes which is experience the unpleasant or unhappiness feeling. You need to distinguish three of them. So generally, when I say the general I is there, it is exists. It exists. But for us, the eyes look like exist intrinsically. So we need to negate the intrinsic I, not the I. Okay? I know it's not easy, so next is become more clear. Once more, see the overcoming, the refining view of perishing aggregates depend upon developing the wisdom that knows that the self as thus conceived but does not exist. You will then see that you have to refute. You have to refute what? You have to refute the self, not the self. The self. Self is there. That means the particular self. You need to refute the self, which is conceived, does not exist. You will then see that you have to refute that self. Be certain in the refutation, relying upon scriptures, like a Heart Sutra. Heart Sutra say, form is emptiness, emptiness form, no eyes, no tongue, no consciousness. This you relies on the scriptures. Not only scripture you can use as a resource. Then lies of the reasoning, right? The teach scripture and reasoning. You use the two resource to refute that self, that I. How you can refute? Look at then next here. Lies of reasoning that contradict its existence and prove it is not existent. You use the teaching which is contradict with the existence of that self. Okay. Also you can use the reasonings and logics which is contradict with the existence of that I, that self. Not only that, then a proof. Right? Proof it not existent. That means all the teachings or the logic which you're going to use is always contradict with the what? Existence of that I. Also prove what? Is non-existent. Which one? That self. That self. That self, not just self. That self. Then this is an indispensable technique for anyone who seeks liberation. Right? So we everybody, consider who are, seeking liberation. That means if you really seeking, you are seeking liberation, that means you must rely on the scriptures and reasoning, use all the teachings, reasoning that contradict with that I exist. Also prove, it is non-existent. Not only that, also you must know the ignorance is the root of second existence. Not only that, you must know, if I am not able to overcome the root of the second existence, I cannot overcome from the samsara. Right? In order to know that, then you need to contemplate. You need to do the contemplation on, the disadvantage and the faults of the samsara. So there's an order. Okay, order. Order number one, you must try to know what does mean nirvana. Then in order to know nirvana, you need to know the two conceptions. Not only that, you need to know what does mean the latent, right? Latent predisposition. Then how you really enter into nirvana. This is for technique of liberation. After you have thus arrived, after you have, if you reach this kind of level, at the philosophical view, this descends that the self and that which is belong to the self lack even the share of the intrinsic nature. You should custom yourself to that. This will lead to the attaining of the embodiment of the truth. That means simply saying you must try to realize, two types of emptiness, two types of selflessness, which is emptiness of the phenomena, emptiness of the person, or emptiness of the being. Right? That means when you have a attachment, you have an attachment about your own yourself, or you have attachment with the something or someone. So when you have ignorance can be only two types: ignorant about you yourself, I; ignorant about mine. So in order to overcomes the two types of ignorance, you need to realize two types of emptiness. What are they? Emptiness of the phenomena, emptiness of the person, or emptiness of the being. Right? Being. So not just realize, then you should custom yourself to that. This will lead to the attainment of the embodiment of the truth. Right? That means Dharmakaya. Then another very important question here, the clear words, Chandakirti. Now look at the Nagarjuna composed, 6 treatises. Within the 6, most important one, which one? Within the 6 treatises. Yeah, Madhyamaka Mulakarika. In English?
Fundamental wisdom of emptiness.
Sawa Sherab, you can say Sawa Sherab. Yeah, fundamental wisdom of emptiness. This is composed by Nagarjuna. Then Chandakirti has a commentary on it. There's a two. One is the clear words. Okay, clear words says, question. You said that all of these afflictions, right? That means except, yes, you can say all of these afflictions, karma, bodies, agent, and effect are not reality. Still, though they are not reality, they appear to the childish, for us look like childish, in this ghost of the reality, like a phantom city, and not so forth. So it's telling, teach us how things are appear to us, how things are perceiving to us. That means, look at afflictions, karma, body, agent, affection, so effects are not reality. Still, though they are not reality, they appear to the childish in the ghost of reality, like a phantom city and so forth. If this is so, then what is the reality, and how do you enter the reality? Like phantom city mean, I think it's a kind of legend, can be the truth. We can say that the magical city, right? So for example, we are so thirsty, so we are walking somewhere in the like a desert land. We are walking, we are so thirsty, suddenly we appear, something appear, big cities, has a lot of restaurant, lot of coffee, lot of tea, lot of water. We feel so happy. That we feel so happy, we believe these are the real. When we go closer to closer, finally, nothing there. Right? That means for us, everything look like the phantom city. Everything look like, exists from there. When you study more closely, nothing exists from that side. Nothing exists itself. So this is the analogy. Then second question. If this is so, if things are like that, things are like what? Things are like the phantom city. Like that, then how? Right? If this is so, then what is the reality and how do you enter that reality? The reply, reality is that total extinction of the conception of both self and that which belong to self is in regard to the internal and external. It just look like summary. This being as a result of non-apprehension of internal and external thing. As for enter into reality, look in this another words, look at the sentence. Everybody read together. In their minds, and perceive the all. Yeah, and this, this kind of paragraph is kind of the summary. Also, Lama Tsongkhapa tried to explain this meaning. Just this, the words. May I tell you a very nice story? I think most of you know, the ex-Gandhin Chipa from Ladakh, Rizon Rinpoche. He is a very high practitioner, very learned, and very humble. So he was giving teaching in Ladakh. Then they attend 1 time, 2 times. One day said, Rinpoche, we don't understand your language. Because they thought, Rinpoche is speaking Tibetan language. The people who listen teaching, they are Ladakhi, from Ladakh, like in Ladakh. They said, Rinpoche, I don't understand your language. The Rinpoche get angry. No. It doesn't mean you don't understand language. You don't know that, you don't understand Dharma. He said, no language, you don't understand Dharma. He said, it is not my language problem. He said, it is, you don't understand Dharma. That means it is not difficult because you are a study problem. Yeah. I know it's very difficult. That's why, so I really moving very slowly as a donkey. Donkey walk how? A horse walk very fast, right? Like we are moving as a donkey or sheep. Yeah. Yeah, this is very important. Everybody memorize this sentence. In their minds, yogi perceive that all afflictions and all faults arise from refining view of the perishing aggregates, and knowing that the self is the object of the view, they refute the self. That means the first, 2 lines, explain how things are appear to us. Right? The affect emotion, the faults, everything arises from where? Arise from the refining view. That means arise from the 2 types of ignorance. Mainly ignorance about mind, aggregates. And knowing that, then if you know, the afflictions, the faults arise from ignorance, and knowing that the self, object of view, they refute. Now look, now we have to refute what? We need to refute the self is the object of the view, that refute. Now, So ignorance, right? Ignorance is mind. Am I right? Ignorance is mind. Okay, mind. So all minds, it doesn't matter positive mind or negative mind, all mind must have object and subject, right? So if there's a mind, the mind must have a object. So when you think, when your mind thought, oh, the object is nice, the flower is nice, then the flower become object of the mind which is thinking is nice. The mind think the flower is not nice, and also the not nice flower become object. That means all mind must have an object. Clear? Then now think about ignorance. Ignorance is a mind. So what is the object of ignorance? Object of ignorance. Then knowing that the self is the object of the view. View means ignorance, Then the self is the object of ignorance. Got clear? So ignorance is mine or not mine? Mine. Ignorance is mine. So what is the object of ignorance? Self. Self, okay, self. Not just simply we saying self, right? That self. Look at, from the refining view of the present, the self is the object of the view. They refute the self. Okay? They refute the self. That means, it's now, I think, quite clear for you, all the afflictions, all the falls, everything arises from where? Arises from where? Arise from the refining view of the pressing aggregates. And knowing that the self is the object of that view. Right? That means the self is the object of that view. Which that view refer to where? The refining view of the pressing aggregates is the ignorance. Ignorance. Then the self is the object of the refining, view of the pressing aggregates. Therefore, you need to refute. Refute what? Refute the self, because the self is the object of ignorance. Okay, it's got to make, because day before we had a lunch opposite of our center. Then there was a person who sometimes come to TBC for teaching. So he often go to Bhutan. So he always asks question. So he doesn't like the long question. He said long into short. he said long into short. He likes short. That means these two lines is the summarize. What is the origin or root of the afflictions and falls? That means simply you can say directly ignorance. When you know ignorance is the root of the afflictions and falls, then you must refute. What? Refute the self. Okay? So this is kind of summary about what is the nirvana, how we can enter into nirvana, what is the ignorance, what is the object of ignorance. So now the commentary on it, you can see yogi who wish to enter reality and who wish to eliminate all afflictions and falls examine the question. They just ask a question. What does this second existence have as its root? Right? What is the question? Question? What does this second existence have as its root? This is the question. Everybody must examine this question. Right question. When they thoroughly investigate this, about what? What does the second existence have its root? So when they thoroughly investigate this, they see that the second existence has its root. The root, the refining view of pressing aggregates. I think should not have this confusion, this words. I think I know everybody thought, same problem, huh? Refining view of the pressing aggregates. That means, what is the root of the second existence? The root of the second existence is ignorance. Ignorance, which is perceive the aggregates as a intrinsic existence. Not only for you, when I study about this word, jigsaw la tawa, then there's a jigsaw. Jig and saw, there are two meanings. Jig, saw, la tawa. Jig, pressing. Saw, like aggregates. Like tawa is view. Because it's not easy to understand. Because I think maybe in Sanskrit, I think the word is there. They translate into Tibetan. Jig, saw. La tawa. Tawa means view. Jig means pressing. Aggregates means saw, come together. Mainly talking about 5 aggregates. So 5 aggregates, there's ignorance which is about the 5 aggregates. View of the pressing aggregates, and they see that the shape is the object. Again, see that the shape is the object absorbed by refining view of the pressing aggregates. It always refer this ignorance. Refining view of a pressing is the ignorance. What's the object of refining view of the pressing aggregates? What's the object? Shape is the object. Absorbed by whom? Absorbed by refining view of the pressing aggregate. Aggregates. And that through eliminating that, all afflictions, faults are overcome. Hence, at that very beginning, the examining only the self is seeking. What is the self? And that is the object of the conception of self. Right? Any question before we move to the next sentence? Okay, praising view of aggregates, right? I think you should not stick with the words. Then you always stick there. How many types of ignorance are there? Only 2 types. What are they? Ignorant about self, ignorant of the that which belongs to. That means, let's say, I am happy, I'm not happy, I will go, I do that. This time only for our appear the only I. Nothing, look like belonging with something. Second, you say, my hand, my head, my body, my mind. That time there's a mind. There's a mind. When you say my hand, there's a 3 things again. Hand, thoughts, and I. Mind. Right? My hand. Whose hand? My hand. The my also still is I, right? Is I, but when you say my hand, the hands look like belongs to whom? I. The hands or legs belongs to I. That means one I appear without any like belongings. I go, I'm happy, I'm not happy. Second, my hands, my leg, my house, my mind. Then there's the mind is a bit change. Change as something possess. Right? This means possess. There's two types of ignorance. Ignorance about I, ignorance about mind. Mind. When I say my hand, in my hands, okay, hand is not I. No. Hand is the possessor of the possession, right? Possession of the I. That's why, then that's why let's when you think about my hand, okay, should have a short time to feel yourself. My hand. Yeah, there's a hand. Then that time there's a mine. My means I. My hand. So that time the I look like the hands belongs to the I. The hands possession to the I. That means only two types of I. Two types of I. Then when you think, my hand, my body, that time the eyes focus where? When the mind say my hand is focused where? Focus on hand. Mind is there. The hands look like belongs to the eye. Then the eyes focus on hand. Right? Hand. That's because there you can see view. Mean the eyes is view to where? View to the hand or legs. Or the hands and legs are aggregates. Aggregates, what does meaning of aggregates in English? Direct meaning. Aggregates mean? Like compound, come together, compounds. Okay, aggregate. Look at that mean, the perish mean very easy to perish, very easy to decline. That's what, perish, what you call? Perishing aggregates of the view. Simply ignorance. Two types of ignorance, mainly the, ignorant about mind. Bit better, Sonam? Tinta Toma? Okay, thank you. Okay. Huh?
Does it mean that when we realize the emptiness of phenomena first,
Mm-hmm.
it's easier to realize the emptiness of the self, the person?
Very good question. It's come later. There's a question answer because it's very important question because there's a lot of debate. Now there's two types of ignorance. Ignorant about the I, ignorant about mind. So how we should realize which one first? So that's why today we will finish about this one. So there's a very important question. Also there's a lot of debate about it. Which one we must realize? Emptiness of the phenomena or emptiness of the self. Okay, so we can have a break. This topic, is very difficult to understand. Also, is also important. So, in order to have the good understanding according to this teaching, first you can go through your own experience. For example, I said, I want to go. Then you think there's a I. Then there's a mind. There's a thought, the mind thought, I want to go. And that you must try to realize how the eyes look like. I. Then second, my hand or my head. When you think this moment, this way, my hand, Then there's that time there's a thought. The thought thinking about hand. And also that the hands look like belongs to I. And also you should think that moment how the I is exists, how it is exists, how it is look like. Okay, this means if you go through your own experience, then for you lot easy to understand according to this teaching. Next, we move little bit about again page number 121. Right? Beginning, they examine only the self, asking, what is the self? There is the object of the conception of self. Then, now there's so many phenomena, right? Hundreds of millions of the countless phenomena. We cannot, realize all the selflessness, all the emptiness of all phenomena is too much. Now, everything you can, condense into two here. Many arguments refuting the intrinsic existence of limitless number of individual things. It's a limitless number we cannot, think about. However, when yogis mean like practitioner or student, when yogis initially engage in the practice, when they engage in the practice of emptiness, they meditate in the abridged way, determining the both self and that which is belong to the self, lack of intrinsic nature. That means when you meditate, when you practice as a practitioner, you must practice only two types of emptiness. Emptiness of the person, of being, and emptiness of the phenomena. That means all emptiness you can put into two types of emptiness. Emptiness of the phenomena, emptiness of the being, or emptiness of the person. Right, simply. Then look at then this is another not that important as information. The Master Buddha Palita, so last time we have a teaching 2 times from Dalai Lama. The Master Buddha Palita says that this is the meaning of 18th chapter, Nagarjuna's fundamental treatise. This means all the the logic or reasoning to introduce emptiness is mainly from chapter 18. The Master Chandrakirti bases his own commentary on the statement by Buddha Palita. That means Nagarjuna has a text, the fundamental treatise, the fundamental of wisdom. Then Buddha Palita make a commentary on the fundamental treatise, particularly 18th chapter. Then later, the Nagarjuna also make a commentary on the middle way, also just extended explanation of the 18th chapter of Nagarjuna fundamental treatise. The 18th chapter is mainly chapter about introducing selflessness, emptiness. So doesn't matter Buddha Palita, Nagarjuna, whoever make a commentary, mainly commentary on the 18th chapter 18. The next question. Right now, until now, we study mainly what is the nirvana, how to enter into nirvana. Right? Then there another question raised here. Are you not teaching how to enter the reality of the Mahayana? Right? Because practice of selflessness is the common practice. Practice of emptiness is also common practice between Hinayana practitioner or Mahayana practitioner. It's a common practice. Then the person raises a question. Are you not teaching how to enter the reality of the Mahayana? In that case, the reality that one seeks to attain cannot be mere extinction of the conception of both the self and the which belong to the self. Right? That means here you need to know there's a two types of nirvana. The one nirvana only merely extinction of conception of both self and the which belong to it. Right? The another nirvana, not only that, also extinction, the latent of predisposition. So here is a question: Are you not teaching the how to enter into the reality of the Mahayana? Because this kind of nirvana is the common achievement. Also, he raised a question number 1, are you not teaching how to enter the reality of the Mahayana? Question number 2, also since a simple determination that both self and the which belong to it lack intrinsic nature does not initially determination of the object. Right? That means until now you're only talking about the selflessness and selflessness of the belonging. Right? Selfless self and that which belong to it lack intrinsic nature does not initially determination of the objects. That means he was saying you are only trying to explaining the selflessness of person, not the selflessness of the object of the phenomena. So here is two questions. Question number 1, are you not teaching how to enter into reality of the Mahayana? Question number 2, are you not really you are not really explaining emptiness of the phenomena. Object here refer to the phenomena. And distinct from the person, like self is wrong to possess it the part of the entering into reality. So he raised two questions, right? Question number 1, are you not teaching the enter into Mahayana? Question number 1, simple determination both self and the which belong to the self-intrinsic nature do not really determination of the object. Two questions. Reply: there is no problem here, for there are two types of total extinction of the conception of both self and what which belongs to it. Even Hinayanas may have the first types, which is extinction of utter elimination of the affliction, so that those afflictions will never recur. However, the second is the Buddha's embodiment of the truth. It is the elimination of the thought, utter non-apprehension of all signs, which are the elaboration of external and internal phenomena. That means there's two types of nirvana. One nirvana just merely extension of afflictions of conception, right? Extension of the conception of both and self and which belong to the self, which even though Hinayana may have the first types, the utter elimination of the affliction, so that those afflictions will never occur. They just eliminate the afflictions, they never arise again. It simply eliminate the ignorance, attachment, so and so. However, the second is the Buddha's embodiment of the truth. The final, the ultimate cessation. It is the elimination through the utter non-apprehension of all signs, which are the elaboration of the external internal phenomena. So, here you may think, some of you thinking, so we know, ordinary being then Arya, then Arhat. Arhat, right? Arhat, ordinary being like us. Then the person who perceives emptiness through direct perception, direct cognition, then we call Arya. And when the person completely eliminate the affliction and the two types of ignorance, we can call Arhato, right? Then what is the differences between Buddha and Arhato? Arhat, what? What's the difference? The Arhat only extinct of the afflictive emotions and ignorance, not the elaboration, right? Elaboration, which is here apprehension of all signs, which are the aberration of external and internal. So this means, for example, okay, so somebody has a very strong habits to eat particular food. Then they thought it's no good to eat this food for a long time. They totally stop to eat the food. Totally stop for many years. Then after many years, when the person see the food, still feel, wow, the food is very delicious. Still you have this kind of experience. This means the Arhato, Arhat, they eliminate all of them, but when they look at the external, internal phenomena, still for them, still have the kind of perception. Things are exist intrinsically, because due to the latent mental disposition. Then another important, so before you become Buddha, when you meditate on ultimate reality, emptiness, you cannot perceive the conventional truth in your mind. Okay? When you meditate on the conventional truth, you cannot perceive emptiness. You cannot, perceive the two truths simultaneously. Cannot because there's a, obstacle to realize two truths simultaneously, which is, the latent of the mental disposition. So you can see now there's a, big difference between Buddhahood and just, liberation. Or also you can know there's a big difference between Buddha and Arhat. That means simply you just think all Buddhas are Arhat. All Arhat not necessary to be Buddha. That means, the 3 points. So, who study Nalendra course, 2 points, 3 points, or 4 points. Question, answer. Next, I think there's a lot of things we have to learn.
Tuesday you teach us the 4 point, 3 point, right?
It's too early. We still we still have to go through the manso. Yeah. Look at also when you know that the self does not exist intrinsically, you also overcome the conception that the aggregates, now it's coming slowly, right? When you know that the self does not exist intrinsically, you also overcome the conception that the aggregates which are is component exist intrinsically. Just as when chariot burn, the wheel and the sajas that are is past are also born. Now it's very important. First, you know the example. When the chariot burn, then what? Is component like, can you see? Just when the chariot burn, the wheels and such as that are past also burn. Right, burn. So this is the legend or example. The actual meaning is what? When you know the self does not exist intrinsically, okay, self, I. When you know the I not exist intrinsically, then you also overcome. Then you will overcome the conception, the concept. Which concept? That the aggregates which are is component exist intrinsically. Right? That means when you realize the I does not exist intrinsically, the second, then you will realize, the component, the aggregates also not exist intrinsically. For example, when you see the chariot burn, that means the wheel or any parts of it burn. This one analogy. The sentence come from the Nagarjuna, the fundamental treatise. If the self does not exist, then how could that which belong to the self exist? Right? If the self is not exist, then how the things belong to self can be exist? That means if there's no body, then there's no nose. No head, then there's no nose. Look like, right? So next you must remember this sentence. If the self does not exist, how could that which belong to this self exist? Right? Because they do not absorb the self, they also do not at all absorb the aggregates which belong to the self. When you cannot see the self does not exist, then definitely you can see, the aggregates which is belong to the self also not exist anymore. Next, Chandrakirti says that when you know that the self lack in intrinsic nature, you also know that the self's aggregates lack self, that is to say the lack intrinsic nature. That means here you just simply say, if I really know the self is not exist intrinsically, then second, I will know the aggregates which belong to I is also no more exist. So here you need to clarify. It makes sense, right? First you say, there's a I is exists, but there's another I which does not exist. So through your logic and reasoning, you realize the I, which is object of, can you remember the parish view of aggregates? The I is the object. Then through your study, okay, now we just go, with the kind of, practical way. First, everybody just do some study about I. Let's say, I want to go. Just do some kind of analytical, analyze that time how the I is appeared to you. Right? I want to go. Go is action. Then now, how the I is appeared to you, how it is appeared, how you can see, how. And I said to you, that time, there's three things. One is I, second is the thoughts, third is the action, right? I want to go. Go is action. Then the mind thought, I want to go. The thought is no I. Then, and that time, when you think I want to go, more important one now, there's an ignorance. That time, there's an ignorance about I. Right? I want to go. Go is action. The thought which you think I want to go is a thought. And that time there's a I. And as well as there's a ignorance which is totally ignorant about I. And the ignorance, for the ignorance, perceive the I exists intrinsically. Right? Now, I hope for you a bit clear, the foggy mind become a bit clear, the little light. Once more, again, I want to go, right? I want to go. That time there's a kind of thoughts or motivation which is want to go. Then there's a I, and there's a action, go, and there's a ignorance about I. When you think I want to go, for you, you feel, you think also, for you appear, the I exists intrinsically. Intrinsically. So now you have to refute that I, which is look like exists intrinsically. You need to refute that I. That I. Right? That I. How you can refute that I? Then you use the teaching. Most importantly, you use the logic. If the I exists intrinsically, then the I exists independently. Right? Independently, right? Independently. If the I exists independently, then I not need to depend on any parts. I not need to depend on aggregates, 5 aggregates or aggregates. Then, without depending on any parts, if the I exists, then look at it, very simple. Somebody touch on your shoulder, your hands. Somebody touch your shoulder, Then what you say? You touch me, right? You touch me. If somebody touch your shoulder, still we say, you touch me. But shoulder is not you, but you feel somebody touch you. That means the eyes not exist independently. It depends on physical body. Right? And also, it's simple, when you hear great news, somebody lost job yesterday, this morning is, you please come, I will give you same job. Then you have a very pleasant feeling, then you are say, I'm happy. How you become happy? You have a happy feeling. Due to the happy feeling, you say, I am happy. You never say, I'm not happy, but I have a good feeling, right? No. That means it's very clear for us, the I is not exist intrinsically. It exists dependently. Dependent on, person or whatever, this thing. Then there's another one I, right? I. The second types of I, we can say mind, still be considered as a self. My, hand, my right hand, just think of my right hand. There's a hand, there's a mind, the mind which is thinking about the right hand. Right hand. Not only that time there's a I. There's a I or self. The self, the hands look like belongs to where? The I. Belongs to the self. And that time look like the eyes look like king. A king look like independent king. When the king say, this is my house, this is my property, this is my things, right? That means eyes look like king. All our, 5 aggregates, hands and legs belongs to I. And that time when we say, my hand or my head, that time the hand and legs look like belongs to whom? I. Belong to self. Right? That means I or self are two types. One is just symbolic, without possess anything. Symbolic, I'm happy, I'm going. That time there's one I. We call, ngarjin, Then there's a mind which is clinging on the I. Second, there's another I which is possess things. But the possession is not I. The possession is not I. The eyes possess thing. That time there's another I which is look like things belong to the I. That means there's two types of, self, two types of I. That's why here, when you know that the self does not exist intrinsically, you also overcome the conception that the aggregates, which is the components, exist intrinsically. Just as when a chariot is burned, the wheels and such as that is passed are also burned, right? Then there's a sentence. Then next we just go to the page number 122. Right, 122, then there's a talking about the absorbs. They do not absorb the self, they also do not at all absorb the aggregates which belong to the self. Then there's the words from Chandrakirti says that when you know that the self lack intrinsic nature, you also know the self aggregates lack intrinsic self. Then there's a few things we have to. Okay, now most important question here. Question that come. If the same awareness, now there's two awareness, two minds. One awareness which is aware the self is not exist intrinsically, right? There's another awareness which is aware the aggregates the belongings also not exist intrinsically. There's a true awareness. Do you remember the analogy? The chariot and the paths. When chariot burn, then the wheel or any parts also burn. That means when you realize I, self, not exist intrinsically, then you will know what? You will know the aggregates which is belongs to the eyes also not exist intrinsically. That means you got true awareness, you got true wisdom. One wisdom realize, lack of, the I is lack of intrinsic nature. Second, the aggregates also lack of intrinsic nature, right? That means saying when you realize I is not intrinsically, second you will realize the aggregates which is belong to the eyes also not exist intrinsically, right? That's a true awareness. Now look at question here. If the same awareness that knows that the person lacks intrinsic existence, also knows that the aggregates lack intrinsic existence, then there is a flexi, right? Falsi. The true awareness that knows the two types of selflessness would be the same. And then see what happened, once you know the I is not exist intrinsically, then you will know the aggregates also not exist intrinsically. This means they thought the two minds just look like one mind. Right? This means then look, however, since object and person are distinct, now object which is belong to the aggregates, person belong to the I, also distinct. As in the case of this awareness, they know the impermanence of the pot. The another analogy, awareness that know the impermanence of the pot and that of the pillar. If the awareness that knows that the person lack intrinsic existence does not know the aggregates lack intrinsic existence, then how can Chandrakirti claim that one will know that? That means that we have two types of impermanence. Impermanence of the pot, impermanence of the pillar. So, impermanence of the pillar, right? Pillar, impermanence of the pot is two different phenomena. One's mind, knows impermanence of the pot, not necessarily know the impermanence of the pillar, because the two phenomena is different, right? Then same thing, selflessness of person, selflessness of the phenomena are two different phenomena. Then how you can say, once you realize selflessness of person, you can realize selflessness of phenomena. How you can say somebody or you? Right? Eric in reply, since we do not assert this I can see some translation problem here. Since we do not assert this, okay, in Tibetan language very clearly say, we don't assert, we don't accept the first question. I will explain, he say here, he said Tibetan, we not assert the first question, explain answer to the second question. Yes, sir. You must know, somebody raised two questions. Right? Okay, so For the next, we will start the page number 125, 26, 27, 20. I think next we will study only page number 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next, we try to, finish the 5 pages, 25 to 34. But first 3 pages are very important. Okay, as you further it, you read more, as well as also you reread, which is I explained today. So we can stop here. Before we stop the class, I think we should have some question and answer. Then it's become more clear for you. Any question? I think very clear, huh? Everything is very clear. Okay, then now you just, once more you just listen, without, I'm not looking, without, using the Lamrim books. First, what is the nirvana? Question number 1. The reality. What is the reality of the nirvana? What is the nirvana? How we really enter into the reality. There's 2 questions. Then, when they answer, they said, the nirvana is total extinction of conception, right? 2 conceptions, 2 types of conception. What are the 2 types of conception? Conception of self, conception of that belongs to the self. That means simply you can say, 2 types of ignorance. Here, we still have to go, the phenomena. 2 types of, self-ignorance. One, simply the ignorant about I, ignorant about self. Simply say, I want to go, I want to eat, I just without, look like something belonging to the I. There's this type of conception. There's another conception which is also, which another type of ignorance, which is ignorant about the mind. Mind, which means my hand, my head. There's another types of I. That means there's 2 types of I. Right? Then, number 1, what is the object of, the first ignorance? That means the intrinsic, the intrinsic existent I. Intrinsic existent I is the object of the first ignorance. Right? What is the object of the second types of ignorance? Still is, the category into the, still belongs to the first category. Second, there's another eyes which is look like something possessed. For example, my hand. That time there's another eye. So that time there's ignorance. The ignorant is ignorant about that types of eye. So what is the object of the second ignorance? Right? That means then the prescient view of aggregates. That means second types of ignorance is ignorant about the I, which is the eyes look like something belong to it. Right? That means there's a second types of I, as well as second types of ignorance, as well as it has their own object to ignorance. Then how we can refute the I, how we can refute. Then you can refute depending upon the teaching, depending upon the reasoning and logics. Logic, right? So that means you read teaching about emptiness, then you use the logics and reasoning. Then how we can use the logic for that I is not exist, that mind is not that me, the mind and me is not exist. Then first I told you, somebody touched your shoulder, you say you touch me. That means the shoulder is not you. Still somebody touch your shoulder, then you can say you touch me. That means me is not totally separate from the body. When you have a happy feeling, then you say, I'm happy. The feeling is not you. When you have a happy feeling, then you say, I'm happy. That means the I, the self, mine, me, me and I and me never exists intrinsically. It exists merely dependent on something. That means you know how to realize emptiness of I, emptiness of mind. Right? So within the self you need to divide into two. Make sure the self, I, mean I, mine. Both it category into self. Okay, self. Then all the teachings in all the texts, from the fundamental of the wisdom or clear words, Buddha Palita, all the words he quoted by Lama Tsongkhapa because he want to approve this is the right one, because says by Nagarjuna, says by Chandrakirti, said by Buddha Palita. Okay, so this was then next subject as a homework I told you must read. So in order it is so important to realize emptiness. How we must realize emptiness? You must realize emptiness through reject the negation, right? Negation. For example, the sound, the voice is impermanent, right? Impermanent. Because it is arise from causes and condition. Right? Something arise causes and condition, it is necessary to be impermanent. So when you try to understand the impermanent voice, the voice is impermanent, that time you are rejecting, you are negating what? Permanent voice, permanent sound. In this context, the permanent voice, the permanent sound is negation, to negate on the impermanent sound. Same thing, when you try to realize emptiness of I, you need to reject the intrinsic existent I. Okay? Intrinsic existent I is the negation, to negate, to realize emptiness of I. So next we learn how it is so important to identify the negation, right? Negation. Without you identify the negation, if you try to negate the negation, then you will fall into any extremes, right? For example, without knowing For example, let's say, in a Mustafa, there's a one, the shop, column number 7, says column number 7. You see column, right? Row number 7. I said, everybody go to Mustafa at the row number 7. There's a diamond and, glass. And everybody just runs there. When you come back, everybody get the glass, crystal, no diamond. What happened? It runs and came back with the crystal, no diamond. What happened? Why? You got crystal, no diamond. Before you go there, you really don't have the good knowledge about diamond. Then you pick up the wrong one, right? Wrong one, you pick up the crystal. That's why if you really don't know what is the negation, when you try to negate, then you will have a lot of misunderstanding. You will fall into one of the extreme. The next class, we learn how it is so important to identify the negation, how to negate. Also, we learn without having proper understanding of negation, if you try to negate, what will what the problem will be. So next lesson this, so we can stop here. I think everybody feels so tired. Okay, so we do the dedication prayers. Everybody dedicate the merit in order to realize emptiness, in order to have a better understanding of Lamrim.